So I couldn't find any blue pop culture shirts in my closet, but I was able to find this. It's a little blue and it has an insect on it, like spider, beetle. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Hey guys, it's Jason. I am back reviewing another DC film this week. I just reviewed The Flash recently, and now I'm back reviewing Blue Beetle, directed by Manuel Xolo and stars Xolo Mariduena. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. The guy from Cobra Kai, and also stars Susan Sarandon and George Lopez. And it's about Jamie Reyes, played by Xolo, who moves back into his parents' house and tries to get a job to help pay their house back because their parents weren't able to pay back for the mortgage. And then the girl runs into him and gives him this little robotic bug from space called a Scarab, a robot bug that gives him the ability to put on a suit and gives him weapons to use and helps him fly, while Susan Sarandon, as the main villain of the film, wants the suit back for her own evil schemes, which I'm not going to say what they are because spoilers. I didn't know a lot about Blue Beetle as a kid. I've only seen him in some of the animated stuff and got to learn a little bit more about him after watching the animated series Young Justice. And I was curious to see how he will do in his first live action debut. And did he do a good job? I mean, he did fine. Not great, but fine. I mean, admittedly, this movie does have a few issues, sadly, but I'm gonna save those for later and just talk about the good first. I thought Xolo Manduela did a pretty good job as Jamie Reyes. He gives a lot to the character, he carries the film quite a bit, and he's kind of a down on his luck guy because he just graduated from college and decided to move back into his family's home because he has to be the one to get a job so that he can make more money to pay for their mortgage, and you do feel bad for him in those scenes. I thought the suit was pretty cool. It's definitely accurate to the one from the comics and the animated shows, and it's actually practical in a few scenes. Sure, they did use some CGI for when he's fighting or in the sky, but whenever he gets close-ups with his mask off, you actually see him wearing a real suit, and if you look on the internet, you can find screenshots of them using a practical suit for the film. I thought some of the humor worked, not a lot of it landed, but I found myself chuckling in a few scenes, and most of them coming from George Lopez. I thought he was one of the funnier parts of the film. And the stuff with Jamie and his family is definitely the big heart of this film. Like, you do get to see them care for Jamie Reyes when he's out fighting bad guys, and when they go out there to help him do so, that brings some emotional weight, and I kind of wish this movie had a little bit more of that. Now, with all of the stuff I just said, you would think the action that this movie has and the villain that they go with would have made this movie a lot of fun. You would think that that would make this movie great to watch. Unfortunately, this movie lacks quite a bit of that, and most of the action in this film really didn't work for me. Like, most of the action sequences are just these big CGI fight scenes with explosions and weapons that the suit uses, and it is very noticeable at times. It really doesn't sell a lot of the tension that it should have had with some of the more emotional moments this movie has. Like, I would have liked this film to have at least some of the more hand-to-hand combat fight scenes with some of the CGI that could have made the action a little more fun. Now, there is one hand-to-hand combat scene, kind of, where Blue Beetle is fighting a bunch of these guys in the hallway with some CG, but besides that, most of the action is just very bland CG fight scenes that really didn't work for me and don't really do much for the story. Now, there are a few scenes where Jamie Reyes is trying to understand more about the suit. He's trying to learn the powers that it has and how he can use weapons with it. With an origin story like this, you expect this movie to show more of him trying to understand the suit, and you do get that here, but really not that much. It was kind of lacking a bit. Like, another thing about the origin story that was kind of lacking is like a montage scene, like the one where Jamie Reyes is trying to understand more about the suit and what the powers it has. Like, That's one of the more important parts about an origin story. Like, get the main character to understand his powers or his new suit. Like, that was the one thing that was very lacking throughout this film. Now, there is a girl named Jenny Cord, played by Bruna McQuincy. I'm sorry if I said her name wrong, who does kind of have an arc in this film. She does have some moments that relate to her aunt, played by Susan Sarandon, who is also the main villain of the film, and you do see that conflict that she unfortunately has to deal with. But she's mostly just there to give exposition for Jamie, and some of the history that she had with her aunt, and in particular her father, don't get mentioned a whole lot. They kind of just fade into the background. Let's talk about Susan Sarandon, who is a very talented actress, and she is good in this movie, but her villain could have been done better because she's just a very basic villain that wants the Scarab back so that she can make weapons of her own. Sure, she does have a motive for why she's doing that, but it's barely mentioned. And that kind of villain trope is something we've seen in other movies so many times. Stop doing that, Hollywood. We've seen that in other movies like Jurassic World, and we're already tired of it. It's old now. Stop having the main villain take something from the main hero and turn it into a weapon. The family also get this big blue beetle ship that can fly and walk on its legs, and they use it to accidentally kill some soldiers while they're breaking into this place. And when they get inside it, they start killing the soldiers on purpose, and they don't even feel bad for doing it at all. Like, they don't have at least one scene where they looked at themselves and go, oh crap, I just killed someone for the first time. I just took someone's life, and now I feel terrible for doing that. But there isn't a scene like that at all. It's not in this movie. So they just kill people, and they're fine with it, I guess. Blue Beetle is an okay superhero film with some good action sequences, and some good humor, and good acting, and the family dynamic is definitely one of the better parts of the film, but it suffers from having a lot of exposition, bland CGI, and not interesting action sequences, a very bland villain, and some missed opportunities that could have made this movie more fun, in particular Jamie Reyes trying to learn more about using his suit with the montage. If you like seeing a bunch of CGI action sequences and just want to see the movie just for that, then you might have a lot of fun with this movie than I did. I mean, I didn't hate myself watching this film, I just think it's okay. But if you want an engaging story with compelling characters and really good action sequences, good CGI, and a compelling villain, you're not going to get a lot of that, unfortunately. I'm going to give Blue Beetle a C+. Well, there goes another DC film that didn't live up to everyone's expectations, because with movies like Shazam 2, that one didn't do very well at the box office, and despite the fact that I do really enjoy The Flash, that one still became a big box office bomb, and it looks like this film isn't doing a whole lot either. And we have Aquaman 2 coming out in December, and that's supposed to be one of the very last DC films before James Gunn decides to change everything with his version of the DC universe. So guys, if you have seen Blue Beetle, what did you think about it? Did you think it was a lot of fun and thought I was being too harsh on it? Or did you think this was one of the worst movies you've seen in your life and thought it was one of the worst comic book movies ever made and didn't do justice to the Blue Beetle character? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it makes my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.